Okay, we got the milling machine set up here. There's a piece of 3/8 inch plate under here that's going to be the base of the whole bending brake. This is a piece of 1.5 inch square that the plans show us actually drilling and tapping these for a set of bolts to come up from underneath and a bench to clamp them down. So we're going to have to do a couple of things because this is way bigger than my mill can handle. So we're probably going to take a couple of passes down about halfway with this 1 inch mill and get everything brought down to the same level as this. The idea is to plane all these off to the same level so they're completely flat. Then we'll flip it over and we'll do a fly cutter or something on the top to make sure it's flat, and we'll trim the ends to make sure everything is square. Anything that's out of square is going to cause us binding problems. So anyway, we'll work as far as we can this way. We'll come out this way, and then we won't be able to come out far enough, I don't think, so we'll probably have to wind up moving the ram out to pick up the last of it. So that's the plan, and here we go. Our surface feet per minute is about 170.
And warp factor 2, Mr. Sulu?
Warp factor 2, sir.
Handle basically to move it. Okay, that's it for this piece of it. Now we're going to have to shift the whole thing down on the table. We'll have to dismount it, clean everything up, get everything reset 18 inches over, and finish up the other half. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure if I have enough movement to finish, and I may wind up an inch or two short here. Which would be disappointing, but that's we can deal with it. Well, we got everything repositioned and Don't know how far we're going to get, but I'm going to guess we'll get within a couple of inches at the end of this and have to reposition another time yet. But got some changes I'm going to make and a comment. These little ribs here, it occurred to me finally that if I'd have paid attention to the drawing, these are to space the plate, the base plate up off of the table or whatever it's sitting on, because the pivots and all those things that go onto the side of this plate stick out below the plate. There, you know, the pivot for the corner would be, you know, something right in here, and you need to be spaced up so it doesn't drag on the bench or whatever you have it sitting on. So anyway, I'm also going to try to speed this up a little bit with some different cutters. I've been using this 1-inch 2-flute mill because I don't have a 4-flute 1-inch mill. And I'm going to take that out. I'm going to go to my carbide facing mill. Okay, got a nice new set of inserts on the facing mill, and I'm going to, instead of messing around with changing heights on the quill, I'm just going to go ahead and use the table, which reminds me I got to get the crank out for that. Okay, I got it dialed in for a 50 thousandths cut. I'll probably take it a little easy going into it, see what it looks like. Something sharp up under there. I don't know what it is, but boy, sure got me. Yeah, about an inch short, that figures. So I dropped it another, or raised the table another 50 thousandths, so give it another shot across here. Okay, we've got milled as far as we can. Down on the far end we got about an inch left we're going to have to go pick up. We've got these cut back as far as the ram will let us, so we need to get more room this way. So what I'm going to do is pull the ram out about 3 or 4 inches, and then I can cut this last little bit off. On a Bridgeport, and probably a lot of others, it's pretty simple. You just loosen up these 2 screws here. They're locks. Yep, still a little tight. There we go. Okay, we moved it back to where the ram was about to the end of its travel here. If I'd have realized how handy this feature was, even though you don't use it very often, I would have set the mill a little further forward to give me a little more stroke. I could have probably picked up another 2 or 3 inches. So actually what I'm going to have to do now is unclamp everything, clean the mill, move up a couple of inches and reclamp everything. So it's going to be a while, and it's really just mostly watching somebody clean a mill. So here we've got everything reset here, continuing what we were doing before. All right, this operation is going to be squaring up this base plate, and I'm not sure what I'll do to the top of it yet, but I've got a saw cut on the back side that looks to be pretty straight, so I dialed it in over here, and I run it down to this end, and I'm about 60 thousandths off. So I'm going to tighten up the nut here, and then that'll be kind of my pivot point. So we'll try to get around zero off of this end. These are just finger tight. A little more than finger tight. Okay, we're sitting on zero on this end. Let's go back to the other end. I'll do this by. Okay. We are about, I'm going to re-zero it here since this is my pivot end over here. Okay, we're re-zeroed. I think we're pretty close. We're within a thousandth or so, and we'll clamp this down good, and we'll run a cut across this corner and across this front edge, and we'll have you know, this end of it all squared up. Then the trick will be to move it, and move it over and get everything dialed back in the way it was to get the next piece. So I'll stop the camera for just a minute and get everything set up to do the milling. Okay, these two clamps will be holding it. We'll just take a skim cut across the back there and make sure we get it all cleaned up and all the little low spots and everything out. Then we'll reclamp it, and we'll mill this up to about here. Then we'll stop and extend the ram and finish it up and come across this side. So sounds straightforward. Let's see how well it works out. Okay, I'm just touching off here first. We don't have any particular dimension in mind, we just want to get it going to take a 15 thousandths cut off. going about 3 inches a minute. And 660 RPM. Okay, everything's locked down there. I'm going to get this clamp out of the way. We'll touch off this side and come down along here. Yeah, this thing's moving around a little. It's afraid of that. Well, I'm going to move the head back and finish this cut then. When we're clamping right on the edge back here, we're trying to raise this piece here. And luckily, we don't really care too much about the elevation of the steel other than it's kind of loose and I think it's trying to walk in and out of here. When I finish this cut, I want to redial this in and see that it is still square. So. Okay, I think this time it's going to be one of those trust me things. I can't arrange that easily so you can see what's going on. Okay, we're reading 0. We're still within 1/1000th and a half, so I think we'll call it good. Now I'm going to have to get up on this side of it, do two things. You need to get up on this side of it and cut that, and I also kind of want to put a straight edge on here and make sure I'm happy with that. So I'll have to pop that clamp loose again. Yeah, that's decent. That's decent straight. And I don't know how straight this is, so I'm going to take a pretty good cut to start with. There's a high spot right there. I think a 50 thousandths ought to do it plenty well. Let's get it just a little lower. Well, we're getting ready to touch off and take another whack at this. The funny thing is, I got all these clamps all set up like this. What I'd like to try to do is have a clamp on the edge and a clamp further in to kind of pull this end down. The best I could do is clamp on the edge and clamp a little further in with as long a arm as I have. Maybe I'll make a longer arm someday. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and touch off. We're right here's the end of where we were at on the first cut. Anyway, when I dialed it in, I kind of eyeballed it, and then I put the DI on it, swung it back and forth like it was on. It was dead on. I've used up all my luck for the week. Okay, anyway, here we go. I can't see enough that warrants any changes. So let's pull the ram back out. We'll come in on the touch off on the back side of this, or the front side, and we'll take it as far as we can, and then we'll reset, reclamp, do everything all over again. We'll get the end and the last 6 inches or so, and the end of the piece. So. Yeah, that's going to be good. Just a trace of light showing through, but not much to worry about. Okay, but same old drill. I got to tear it down and move everything over so I can catch the end of it, and we'll finish it off. Looks nice. I think we got a usable part here. The only thing left now is I'm going to kind of dress up the top. I don't know if I'll just take a disc sander to it, clean up the hot spots. Anyway, got to flip it over, and we got to true up the bottom. What they want is a consistent thickness. But basically, we're going to build some parts that straddle over that and have screws tapped in here to hold them in. And we want to maintain good vertical alignment, so we want to make sure that this thickness is consistent and that it's the same everywhere, so we don't have to think about making different parts, different thicknesses and all that. And the little saddle piece that goes over these, there's 2 pivots here and 2 pivots on the other end. I want to make them all the same. I want to make them with the groove in the saddle the same width as this exactly, so everything fits nice. It's all aligned good. There's no binding or anything. So we'll come back to that much later. Thanks for visiting the Old Iron Lever channel and the series on the building of the bending brake. There are a number of episodes in this series, so please check back regularly. I'll try to post them about twice a week until they're all up, assuming I can keep up with the editing. So if you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to make a comment that you think I'd like to hear, well, please add that. And if you haven't subscribed, that's always welcome too. Please subscribe. Until the next episode, happy trails.